Steaming, a cooking method in which foods are suspended over simmering liquid and cooked by hot vapor. Today I'll teach you 4 methods for this fast and healthy way to cook. Learn my trick for making the fluffiest mashed potatoes. Discover how easy it is to prepare a classic recipe for steamed mussels with wine and saffron at home. Plus, all you need to know about cooking in parchment paper for an impressive yet simple chicken dish. Finally, my favorite way to cook fish using a bamboo steamer. There are many different tools to use for steaming. I have just a few of them here in front of me. You can use a deep pan with a store-bought insert like this. This is a great little steamer basket, and it opens up like this and fits in a variety of sized pots, right like that. This is an insert that can come with a pot. This has holes in the bottom, you can see, and this works very effectively also. These are bamboo steamers, typically found in Chinese restaurants, each layer filled with a different kind of dumpling. This is more for a meal size, and that's a giant one for whole small fish, larger pieces of vegetable. You can also steam, and it's very effective and done all over the world, in banana leaves like this. Now, another thing, parchment-lined foil. It's crimpable foil, but the food only touches the parchment. Or you can just use plain parchment. I'll show you how. Peeling potatoes for steaming. And steaming rather than boiling potatoes keeps the potato drier, which allows the starch to better absorb hot milk when mashed. Steamed vegetables retain much more of the natural sugars, salts, pigments, and vitamins. So we're going to steam these potatoes for a wonderful potato mash. The potatoes can be peeled and put into an ice water bath, and keeping the potatoes in iced water keeps them from turning a sort of grayish purple color. Use for mashed potatoes a good russet potato or a Yukon Gold potato. They are dense potatoes and they have low moisture, which makes the best purees. The potatoes should be cut into 2-inch pieces, and we're going to steam them in that nice little steamer basket. Notice how I'm trying to cut the potatoes into uniform sizes so that they will steam evenly. Steaming takes a little bit longer, but that's okay because what you're left with is a vegetable with more color, more texture, more vitamins, more minerals. You can do all the cutting up and keeping the potatoes in ice water if you want to ahead of time. Now turn the heat up to high, cover the pot. There's a little salt in the water for the steaming. And bring that to a boil, and you steam until tender. Generally, potatoes of that size take 20 to 30 minutes to cook to a soft stage that will make the best puree. Now, we are going to make what's called an infusion. 3/4 of a cup of heavy cream, not for anybody on a diet. I'm using about 2 tablespoons of rosemary leaves and 2 cloves of garlic. You just simmer it for about a half an hour. Now, I want to show you different ways to mash. This is an old-fashioned ricer. This little contraption has a removable bottom, so you can do a fine rice or a coarser rice with this. And you put the potato in here. This metal press fits down over the potato, and you push, and out comes little particles that look like rice, and thus the name ricer. This has been greatly improved, first to something that looks like this, easier to push a lot of potatoes through. This only has 2 surfaces of holes, not adjustable, and you push this way, and you get potato coming out both sides. And the most elaborate of all the ricers that we have is this big guy, and this too has holes on the sides as well as on the bottom. And you can put a lot of potatoes in here and push through and get potatoes done very quickly for a big crowd. So those are ricers. Then, of course, there's the old-fashioned potato masher. You're not going to get the fine puree of potato that you would get with a ricer, but you'll get a nice mashed potato. Another thing that my mom always used is the food mill. Put the cooked vegetable in here and turn. It presses and mushes, and everything comes out the bottom in a very, very beautiful way. Food processors and blenders should be avoided to prevent potatoes from taking on a gluey texture. And I prefer using any one of these. These are done, I think. Look how easily this point of the knife goes right into the potato itself. Perfectly cooked, very nice. So now the cream is infused with rosemary and garlic. Add 1 stick of butter and melt that into the warm cream. And you're ready to start your mashed potatoes. I'm going to turn this on very, very low while I rice the potatoes. Now I'm going to use this medium-sized ricer and just put the cooked potatoes right into it. If you don't have one of these, I'm sure you're going to rush out and get one because it's so easy to watch. See what's coming out? Not a lump in sight. This is such a good device. And use your rubber scraper to scrape off the potato. So just keep pushing through the ricer, all the potatoes. So they're ready to incorporate the strained butter and cream. I'm going to put this through a fine sieve. Oh, does that smell good? Oh boy, really good. So push that through. Really push that garlic, which has gotten nice and soft. Always scrape the bottom of the strainer. Lots of good things there. And then this gets stirred into the potatoes. Now, if you want fine puree, you can put this again through a strainer, but as is a very smooth, lump-free mashed potato. Season with salt, definitely, and freshly ground white pepper. Very nice. So that's method number 1. And if you want to try it and use your old potato masher, you can do that too. Doing mashed potatoes this way is certainly a more rustic way. And that looks good too. It looks really good. And if you want to, don't tell anybody, whole stick of butter. We used to add lots and lots of butter at home. And also cream cheese is delicious incorporated into mashed potato. So this looks really good. And let's add a little bit of heavy cream. So this looks really good. Don't forget to season with salt and pepper. I love to add a little black pepper to the more rustic potato. So these can be kept over a bain-marie. Cover with some plastic wrap and put over an inch or 2 of simmering water. You can keep the potatoes that way for quite a long time before serving. So whether you choose a finely flavored puree like this or a more rustic potato mash like that, I think you'll all agree that by steaming the potatoes rather than boiling them, you've retained a lot more of the potato flavor. Next thing we're going to do is steam a pot full of mussels. Steaming a pot of shellfish, mussels, clams is actually quite simple and very quick. Make sure when buying shellfish that they are unbroken, tightly shut, or if they're slightly open that they snap shut when tapped like that. If they don't close, they're not alive, they're not fresh. And of course, avoid anything with a strong odor. Cleaning the shellfish is the first and most important thing to do when preparing a steamed shellfish like these mussels that I'm going to show you how to make. They do have, every now and then, a beard. I use a little paring knife like this to pull that beard out of the shell. I remember cleaning the mussels from Berrying Hill Beach in Westport, Connecticut. Quite a chore. They were always just full of barnacles and other things, but they were delicious mussels. And we love to go there at low tide and collect a great big basket of mussels, which we will then steam, just like we're going to do right now. So now you can shuck mussels, you can deep fry them, but today we're talking about steaming, so we're going to steam these. Look how nice and glistening the shells are, dark black shells. And the equipment and the ingredients that you need for this wonderful steamed mussels with saffron, the mussels, of course, some parsley, garlic, saffron, some butter, salt, pepper, tomato and shallot, and some white wine. And a flat-bottomed pan like this with a tight-fitting lid. That's all you need, and just a few minutes to cook. So I have all my ingredients in front of me, the mussels, the saffron, and the wine. Oh, by the way, saffron is not soluble in fat, so it won't release its color or flavor if added directly to the melted butter that we're going to be heating in a second. So soften and infuse the white wine, 3/4 of a cup, with the saffron threads. See the white wine? Now watch what happens when I add the saffron. It's already becoming a nice orangey color. And I'm going to melt 2 tablespoons of butter in our pan. Add to that sliced garlic, about 2 cloves of sliced garlic. I'm using a mandolin. Now, watch your fingers when you do this. I'm going to hold this with a little piece of paper towel. Don't slice the paper towel. Look what you get. Isn't that beautiful? I just love that. It's so exquisite. And then the shallots, too, can be done just like that. And the thinner they are, the quicker they cook. I always start with the shallots rather than with the garlic. We don't want the garlic to get any color at all. See what's happening? Nice thin slivers of shallot. There. And add the garlic. You don't have to have garlic with the mussels. This recipe is very tasty with it. And now some roughly chopped tomatoes, but make sure you take the stem end out. You don't want that to end up in your dish. And you don't have to seed or peel these. I find using a sharp serrated knife works very, very well. So just a coarse dice. Get your tomatoes in there. Now, can you see the color of the saffron wine? I love that the color comes out like that. Make sure you get every thread in. And again, what's in the pot is also a fantastic color. Saffron and shellfish, just a wonderful combination. Now, the shells themselves are little steamer baskets, holding those mussels very nicely. We're going to put the cover on, turn the heat up to high, and I shake while it cooks. It's going to take just 5 to 6 minutes to cook the mussels. You can stir once or twice. I can see the shells just starting to crack open. And did you know that mussels have more iron and vitamin B12 than beef? An interesting fact. And also, most mussels now that you buy are farm-raised sustainably in Maine and in Northern California. And they are very delicious. And it's nice not to have to do so much scrubbing. But if you're going to pick mussels in the wild, make sure you do so in approved areas. And here we go. They are done. Sprinkle with freshly chopped parsley leaves and a little bit of black pepper sprinkled on top and a little bit of coarse salt. And they're ready to serve. I just love mussels and I love cooking like this. Serve them with their broth in nice, shallow, wide bowls. And if perchance a mussel has not opened, just leave it. Don't try to eat it. And I want to show you one very nice way to eat mussels before. Oh, look how gorgeous. What a beautiful plate. See how plump, not shrunken. If you've overcooked it, that mussel will be a tiny little thing in the shell. Now, pull out the mussel with your little butterfly pincers. So delicious. And here you have really delicious mussels. Serve the mussels with some nice toasted bread like this. This was cooked on the grill because you need something to soak up that great broth. Enjoy. Preparing foods en papillote, which loosely translates to wrapped in paper, is actually another simple way to steam food. This French technique always manages to impress, as these little packages resemble gifts, and when opened, release their fragrant aromas. If you're having friends over for dinner, this is a very nice way to present food. And today I'm going to show you how to steam en papillote chicken breasts. First, make a little bit of sort of like a vinaigrette. We have a tablespoon of Dijon mustard, and I like to use the grainy mustard for this, 2 tablespoons of red wine vinegar, a big pinch of salt, a big pinch of black pepper, and a big pinch of sugar, just for flavor. And now add, while whisking, about 5 tablespoons of olive oil for 4 chicken breasts. Okay, that's about 5. So it's a mustardy vinaigrette. Now, to make the packages themselves, we have asparagus, just picked from my garden. So about 5 or 6 very thin asparagus, the beautiful chicken breast, a little bit of salt and pepper right on the chicken. And you can put a spoon of the dressing. And some tomatoes, some Kalamata olives, and steamed artichoke hearts. And these are fresh. You can also use the jarred or frozen. Some basil leaves. And a little bit of feta cheese crumbled. This gives a nice texture and a very, very nice flavor with the red wine vinegar. And now to make the package, fold this in half. And to seal, you go around like this, and it'll kind of hold itself in a half moon shape, making an airtight package that will enable the food to steam and cook. Like that. That goes right here, like that. If you want to use the parchment with foil, do the same thing. This, as I said, can be set on a grill. And you can just crimp the foil. This is the healthier alternative to just doing it in aluminum foil, which I do not suggest. And so that looks pretty too. Well, whichever way you prefer, in parchment lined foil or in just parchment, aromatics and vegetables, meats or fish steam perfectly in the oven or on the grill. Transfer this to a 350-degree preheated oven and cook until puffed, and you'll see when it puffs. And that takes about 28 minutes. I think our chicken is done. They're puffy. Can you see how nice they are? Look. So now you just lift this right onto a plate And this is how you would really serve it to your guests. Let's look at each of these. We have 2 chicken, and just as an experiment, I did a fish in this one. So let's tear the parchment first. Now you can have a pair of scissors, you can do it with a knife, but I find that it's awfully nice just to tear back the parchment, revealing the beautiful food, fragrant food, inside the package. Doesn't that look really pretty? The basil, of course, has cooked down, and I would just add a pretty basil sprig to the top. I'm liking how the foil looks. It's a little silvery. It actually looks kind of like a crown. And that too with a basil leaf. And let's see how the fish looks. Oh, how beautiful. Now, this is a very nice boneless piece of halibut, which steams gloriously. And it's on a bed of spinach with a little bit of pesto and lemon. Gorgeous, perfect, fragrant, and healthy, most importantly. A very nice way to cook fish or meat en papillote. This tiered bamboo Chinese steamer allows you to steam more than one item at a time because it has different levels. It's great for creating an entire meal, especially on a busy weeknight when you're looking to make something quick and delicious. One of my favorite things to steam this way is salmon with some peas. The bottom layer will hold the peas. Put a few lettuce leaves on the bottom. This prevents things from falling through the steamer and also gives a very pretty impression. And the fresh shelled peas, put them right in a cabbage leaf cup. Isn't that cute? I love how this looks. And that can be put right here on the edge. Now, dot with butter, a little dill, salt, and a little bit of freshly ground pepper. Now your next layer on soft lettuce leaves, again to keep the juices from dripping down into the peas, place your salmon. This is a boneless, skin-on fillet of salmon. Put a little sprig of dill across the salmon, tiny bit of pepper and salt. The lettuce leaves also prevent the fish from sticking to the bamboo steamer. It's important to have some sort of lining under there. You could put a piece of parchment paper, but I like how the lettuce looks. And that's it. This is it. And you're going to put this on top of half a cup of water and a little bit of white wine, like a quarter of a cup. The water and wine are now simmering. Watch the level of the water. You want to make sure that there is always liquid in the pan. Steam until the peas are tender and the salmon is opaque. 7 to 9 minutes. So easy and so good. A little sauce would be very nice on the salmon. And this yogurt sauce is very good. It's just plain yogurt with a little bit of salt, pepper, and lemon juice in it. Not too much. Stir that up. And this is really for one person. This is for me. So I don't need too much garnish. And it's been steaming now for almost 7 minutes. And I have been pouring a little tiny bit of boiling water right into the pan to keep the water level up. Adding boiling water is a good idea because you don't want to cool it off and stop the cooking. So I just open it. It looks beautiful. Now, for serving, you can leave it right in the bamboo, if you like. Lift out the little cup of peas. Put that right on the side. And put a little bit of your yogurt sauce right here. And eat. What a great presentation, and what a healthy, delicious, and versatile way to cook. I hope you'll try these simple and flavorful recipes. Thanks for joining me on this episode of Martha's Cooking School. See you in the next lesson.